Captain Marcus Webb stood on the observation deck of Station Omega 7, watching the distant stars through reinforced glass. 3 years had passed since humanity's last contact with the Cytherian Empire, and the silence worried him more than any threat. His weathered hands gripped the railing as he studied patrol reports from the outer rim. "Sir, we're receiving distress signals from Colony Theta 9, reported Lieutenant Zara Quinn, her voice cutting through his thoughts. The young communications officer's face was pale as she handed him the decoded message. "They're reporting massive fleet movements, Cytherian warships at least 200 strong." Webb's jaw tightened. At Theta 9 housed over 50,000 civilians, mostly miners and their families. The colony's defenses could barely handle pirate raids, let alone a full Cytherian assault. He activated the station's emergency protocols, knowing their small defense fleet wouldn't stand a chance against such overwhelming force. "Send word to Earth Command," Webb ordered. "Request immediate reinforcements and prepare for evacuation procedures." But even as he spoke, he knew help wouldn't arrive in time. The nearest military fleet was weeks away, and the Cytherians moved fast when they wanted something destroyed. Lieutenant Quinn's hands trembled as she worked her console. "Sir, there's something else. Long-range sensors are picking up an anomaly near the asteroid belt. It's massive, but the signature doesn't match anything in our databases." Webb frowned, moving to the tactical display. The object appeared as a dark shadow against the star field, roughly the size of a heavy cruiser, but emitting no energy signatures. It drifted silent and motionless, like a piece of space debris. Yet something about its angular design seemed familiar, triggering memories he couldn't quite grasp. "Could it be Cytherian?" Quinn asked, adjusting the sensors for a clearer reading. "No," Webb replied slowly, studying the ship's strange silhouette. "This is something else entirely, something old." He'd heard stories from veteran spacers about ghost ships that appeared during humanity's darkest hours, vessels that defied explanation and disappeared just as mysteriously. Most dismissed them as spacer tales, but Webb had learned to listen to old stories. The distress signals from Theta 9 grew more desperate. Reports flooded in of orbital bombardment beginning, civilian transports fleeing in panic, and colony defense forces falling back to their final positions. Webb felt helpless, watching his people die while he could do nothing but observe. Then the anomaly moved. Without warning or energy discharge, the mysterious vessel accelerated toward the Cytherian fleet at impossible speeds. Webb's instruments couldn't track its movement properly, as if the ship existed partially outside normal space-time. Whatever this phantom was, it was heading directly into the heart of the enemy formation. "All stations, maintain observation protocols," Webb commanded, his voice steady despite the growing tension. "I have a feeling we're about to witness something extraordinary." Admiral Vextar of the Cytherian Third Fleet surveyed the burning colony below with satisfaction. His flagship, the Dread Sovereign, led a formation of destroyer squadrons systematically dismantling Theta 9's infrastructure. The humans' pathetic defenses had crumbled within hours, just as he'd predicted. "Admiral, our sensors are detecting an unidentified vessel approaching from Sector 7, reported his tactical officer, a younger Cytherian whose scales still showed bright green with inexperience. "It's moving at extreme velocity, but we cannot lock onto its energy signature." Vextar's reptilian features twisted into what passed for a smile among his species. "Probably a human courier trying to escape. Destroy it before it can warn their fleet." He turned back to the tactical display, already planning his next target. Earth's outer colonies would fall one by one until humanity begged for mercy. The phantom ship emerged from the asteroid field like death itself. Its hull was black as the void between stars, covered in geometric patterns that seemed to shift and writhe in the starlight. No registration marks, no national symbols, just angular armor plating that absorbed sensor sweeps and reflected nothing back. "Admiral, the vessel is not responding to our targeting systems," the tactical officer reported, his voice rising with concern. "Our computers cannot establish a firing solution. It's as if the ship doesn't exist in normal space." Vextar's confidence wavered as he watched the anomaly approach. The ship moved without visible propulsion, gliding through space with an eerie grace that defied physics. As it drew closer, he could see weapon ports along its hull, but they appeared inactive, almost dormant. "All ships, open fire." Vextar commanded. "Destroy that vessel immediately!" The Catherian fleet unleashed a devastating barrage. Plasma cannons, particle beams, and antimatter torpedoes streaked toward the Phantom ship in a display of overwhelming firepower. Any normal vessel would have been vaporized instantly, reduced to scattered atoms by the concentrated assault. The weapons passed through empty space. The Phantom ship had simply vanished, leaving no trace of its existence except confused sensor readings and bewildered alien crews. For a moment, absolute silence filled the communication channels as 300 Catherian warriors tried to comprehend what they'd witnessed. Then reality shifted. The Phantom rematerialized directly amidships of the Catherian heavy cruiser Bone Render. Not beside it, not near it, but occupying the same space simultaneously. The massive alien warship simply ceased to exist, its atoms scattered across light years in an instant of impossible physics. "Impossible!" Vextar roared, his scales darkening with rage and fear. "Nothing can phase through shields like that. What kind of technology are the humans hiding?" The Phantom began its work in earnest. It moved through the Catherian formation, like a predator among prey, appearing and disappearing at will. Each time it materialized, another enemy ship vanished from existence. No explosions, no debris fields, just sudden absence where mighty warships had been moments before. Commander Jackson Price watched the battle unfold from his patrol ship at the edge of the system. His small crew sat in stunned silence as the mysterious vessel single-handedly dismantled the most feared fleet in known space. Whatever this Phantom was, it fought with humanity's enemies, and that was enough for him. The Phantom ship's assault continued with methodical precision, each attack eliminating multiple Catherian vessels simultaneously. Captain Nora Steele, of the merchant freighter Ironheart, had been fleeing Theta 9 when the battle began. But now she found herself transfixed by the impossible sight unfolding before her. "Captain, we should jump to hyperspace while we can," urged her engineer, Marcus Volt, his hands dancing across the engine controls. "Whatever that thing is, we don't want to be here when it's finished with the lizards." Steele couldn't tear her eyes from the tactical display. The Phantom moved with perfect knowledge of Catherian tactics, anticipating their formations and countering their strategies before they could adapt. It fought like something that had studied their enemies for centuries, learning every weakness and exploiting every flaw. Admiral Vextar's formation crumbled as panic spread through his ranks. Ship captains broke formation, some fleeing toward the system's edge, while others clustered together for mutual protection. Neither strategy worked. The Phantom appeared wherever the Catherians felt safest, turning their defensive positions into death traps. "Admiral, we've lost 60% of our fleet," reported his communications officer, struggling to maintain contact with surviving ships. "The remaining vessels are requesting permission to retreat." "Cowards!" Vextar snarled, but his own confidence was shattered. In 30 years of military service, he'd never encountered anything like this Phantom. It moved through space as if the laws of physics were merely suggestions, fought with weapons that operated on principles beyond Catherian understanding. The Phantom suddenly appeared directly in front of the Dread Sovereign, close enough that Vextar could see individual hull plates through his viewports. For the first time, he noticed markings etched into the dark metal, symbols that looked almost familiar, yet completely alien. Ancient human script, perhaps, but distorted beyond recognition. A transmission cut through the jamming that had plagued communication since the battle began. The voice that emerged was human, but wrong somehow, as if spoken from a great distance or filtered through impossible dimensions. Cytherian fleet, you have violated human space and threatened human lives. This aggression will not be tolerated. Withdraw immediately or face complete annihilation. Vextar's translator struggled with the archaic human dialect, but the meaning was clear enough. I am Admiral Vextar of the Third Fleet. We do not negotiate with inferior species. You will surrender or be destroyed. Silence answered him. Then the Phantom began to change. Its hull sections shifted and reconfigured, revealing weapon systems that defied classification. Energy began building around the ship, creating distortions in space-time that made Vextar's instruments scream warnings. Admiral, we're detecting massive power buildup, his science officer reported. Energy readings are off the scale. If that thing fires at full capacity, it could destroy the entire fleet. Captain Steele watched in amazement as the Phantom prepared for its final assault. The ship seemed to grow larger, more imposing, as if drawing power from the void itself. She'd never seen anything like it in 40 years of deep space travel, but somehow it felt familiar, like a half-remembered dream from childhood. It's protecting us, she whispered, understanding flooding through her. That ship is humanity's guardian angel. The Phantom's weapons charged to full power, reality bending around them, as forces beyond comprehension prepared to unleash destruction on a scale that would be remembered across the galaxy. The space around the Phantom ship rippled like water as its weapons reached critical charge. Admiral Vextar felt his ship's hull groaning under the gravitational distortions, and for the first time in his career, he experienced true terror. This wasn't just advanced technology. This was something that transcended the normal boundaries of science. All ships, emergency jump to hyperspace, Vextar commanded, abandoning all pretense of military pride. His surviving captains needed no encouragement. Engines flared across his decimated fleet as Cytherian warships desperately tried to escape the system. But the Phantom wasn't finished. As the first enemy vessels began their jump calculations, space itself seemed to solidify around them. Ships that had been seconds away from escape found their hyperspace drives failing, their navigation computers displaying impossible readings. Captain Rex Morrison of the human defense corvette Valiant had arrived just in time to witness the Phantom's final gambit. His small ship carried only a skeleton crew, but they represented the first human reinforcements to reach the system. Now they watched in awe as their mysterious protector prepared to end the battle decisively. "Sir, we're detecting massive subspace distortions," reported his sensor operator, Lieutenant Kate Hendricks. "Whatever that ship is doing, it's affecting the entire star system. The Cytherians can't jump out. They're trapped here with us." The Phantom's hull began to glow with an inner light that hurt to look at directly. Ancient symbols blazed along its surface, writing in a human language so old that even their translation computers couldn't decipher it. The ship seemed to exist in multiple dimensions simultaneously, its outline shifting between solid matter and pure energy. Admiral Vextar realized his fleet was doomed. Over 200 warships, the pride of the Cytherian Empire, were about to be annihilated by a single vessel that shouldn't exist. He opened a final transmission to his home world, hoping to warn them of this terrible new threat. "This is Admiral Vextar of the Third Fleet," he broadcast. "We have encountered an unknown human superweapon, Our forces are being systematically destroyed. If any Cytherian vessel receives this message, avoid human space at all costs. They have guardians we cannot fight. The Phantom fired. Not energy, beams or projectiles, but something far more fundamental. Reality itself became a weapon, space-time twisting and folding in ways that violated every known law of physics. Cytherian ships didn't explode or break apart. They simply stopped existing, edited out of the universe by forces beyond comprehension. The wave of destruction swept through the enemy formation like a cosmic eraser, leaving only empty void where, moments before, had been the largest military fleet in Cytherian history. In less than 10 seconds, over 100 ships and 50,000 alien warriors vanished without trace. When the energy discharge faded, only a handful of Cytherian vessels remained, those that had been at the extreme edge of the formation. Vextar's flagship was among them, its hull scarred by proximity to forces that had reshaped local space-time. "Survivors will carry this message to your empire," the Phantom's voice echoed across all frequencies. "Humanity is under our protection. Any aggression against human worlds will be met with total annihilation. This is your only warning." Captain Morrison tried to hail the mysterious vessel, but his communications found only empty space. The Phantom had vanished as suddenly as it appeared, leaving behind a debris field that would puzzle scientists for generations. The few surviving Cytherian ships limped away toward their home territory, their crews forever changed by what they had witnessed. 3 days after the Battle of Theta 9, as historians would later call it, the human colony began its recovery. Captain Webb arrived aboard the rescue ship Horizon with medical supplies and engineering teams, but the colonists needed little help. The Phantom's intervention had ended the battle before significant damage could be done. Governor Patricia Reeves met Webb at the spaceport, her face showing the strain of recent events. "Captain, we owe our lives to something we can't even explain. My people are calling it the Ghost of Sol, humanity's guardian angel." Webb nodded grimly. "I've been reviewing sensor logs from across the system. That ship appeared on our instruments for exactly 47 minutes, then vanished completely. Our best scientists can't explain how it moved, how it fired, or where it came from." The mystery deepened when Earth Command's investigation teams arrived. Professor James Kellerman, the Navy's leading expert on xenoarchaeology, studied the battle site with growing amazement. "The energy residue patterns are unlike anything in our databases," he reported, "but there are similarities to theoretical weapons described in pre-war archives from the 21st century. Colonel Diana Torres, representing Earth's intelligence division, had her own theories. "We found references to a project called Eternal Watch in classified files from 2157. It was supposedly humanity's final failsafe, a weapon system designed to activate only if our species faced extinction." Captain Morrison's crew had recovered fragments of hull plating from the Phantom ship, materials that defied analysis. The metal was composed of elements that shouldn't exist, arranged in molecular structures that violated known chemistry. Yet, somehow it felt familiar to human touch, as if recognizing kinship across impossible gulfs of time and space. News of the Phantom's intervention spread throughout human space like wildfire. Colony worlds that had lived in fear of alien aggression suddenly felt protected by forces beyond their understanding. The Cytherian Empire, meanwhile, issued no statements about their devastating defeat, but intelligence reports suggested massive military buildup around their core worlds. Captain Steele had decided to remain at Theta 9, helping coordinate relief efforts. She found herself staring at the stars each night, wondering if humanity's guardian was still out there, watching and waiting. "It knew us," she told anyone who would listen. "That ship recognized human voices, human pain. It came because we needed it." The Phantom's legend grew with each retelling. Some claimed it was an advanced human ship from the future, sent back to protect the past. Others believed it was humanity's collective will made manifest, born from their determination to survive against impossible odds. Religious groups proclaimed it divine intervention, while scientists insisted it must be explainable through unknown physics. But in the deep reaches of space, far from human colonies and alien empires, the Phantom ship waited in silence. Its hull bore scars from battles, fought across millennia, victories and defeats in conflicts that spanned galaxies. It was humanity's promise made real, that no matter how dark the universe became, they would never face extinction alone. The ship's consciousness, if it could be called that, felt satisfaction at another successful intervention. Humanity was still young, still learning their place among the stars, but they showed the same courage and determination that had created their guardian so long ago. As long as humans existed, the Phantom would endure, watching over them from the shadows between worlds. In the depths of space, ancient weapons powered down to standby mode. The eternal watch continued, as it had for centuries, as it would for centuries more. Humanity's enemies might multiply and grow strong, but they would always face the same choice: leave human space in peace, or face the consequences of awakening something that should have remained legend. The Phantom ship faded back into the void, invisible to all senses, waiting for the next time it would be needed. And in human space, people looked up at the stars with new hope, knowing that somewhere in the darkness, their guardian angel was keeping watch.